Lions fans, this is your guy. I'm not a Lions fan, but and I've got some numbers here about. I'm still on the subject of why Quinn and Patricia is going to lead the Lions or lead you guys as fans to the Super Bowl. Once again, I am not a Lions fan. I am a supporter of a franchise that is going in a direction towards greatness. And what I see for the Lions organization is going towards greatness. And I'm looking at from the top to the bottom, starting with Bob Quinn, that's going down to the staff and so forth to the players that they brought in for the last pass. I'm going to go back as far as 3 years. So, but anyway, with that being said, I want to talk about some numbers about Matthew Stafford. Uh, in my previous videos, I had a list of anchors, and I would call those the building blocks. I don't consider Matthew Stafford a building block. I'll give you two reasons. One, that he's pretty much at the end of his career. And two, I believe he have reached his ceiling. So the building blocks is that they are before their prime, in their prime, or they haven't reached their ceiling. So those are considered my anchors, my building blocks. And I gave you Trey Flowers, Kenny Galladay, Frank Ragnow, and Jelani Tavai. With the fifth, I'm going to go with Tracy Walker. All right, and with those anchors, uh, from my view, from my perspective, is like with what the Lions organization is doing towards, building towards greatness, is that they are surrounding those anchors with complementary players, not just talent, but it's a combination of talent, IQ, technique. So they basically, the player that they got next to them basically can maximize what they do best or bring out or have them to stretch past what they did the prior year or previous years and actually to continue to excel and they go higher, not just in statistics, but in effort. And like, it's like a butterfly coming out of the cocoon. That complementary player brings out the best in them. And it's a very contagious, infectious type of environment that you would love to have. And it normally starts off with one player, whether it's on offense or defense, that gets their hands dirty, and they actually will give the identity of what that team is going to be. The average, oh, I can say average fan, but the casual fan may be looking for a guy who has a lot of who may be a bit outspoken. They may have they may express themselves in a very, I don't want to say a loud type of way, but they express themselves in a way to be heard. Some players do it on the field. Some players do it with being vocal. So the players that I'm looking at, they're not really that vocal as much as their efforts shows and displays each year. All right. So somebody may say, well, like, why would you put Jelani Tavai? He only had one season. Jelani Tavai is like his. You could see it from the moment that he had played, that his effort is going to continue to increase because it's like his spirit inside of him. It's like it has like a continuous motor. It's like the motor just doesn't stop. That's why I could say the same thing about Trey Flowers. But then you get a guy like Kenny Galladay, who motor doesn't stop. But then you get him a guy like Amendola, who basically pushes him in a psychological, mental aspect to keep going higher, to do more of himself. And then with Tracy Walker, I believe he's just pure what he is. He has the ability of IQ, the ability of talent, and also the ability of technique. So that's why I believe he's going to be an anchor. And so what they did this for the last past couple of years, they have been surrounding, and well, let me say this: in my eyes, they have been surrounding those anchors, with complementary players. With Trey Flowers, you putting right beside him, you're gonna put him next to Danny Shelton, right? Danny Shelton has the same type. Let me further say this. What I mean by complementary is like they have They're on the same page as them, IQ, talent, or effort, and they are equally the same or they're above, right? So in other words, if they are equally the same, they can challenge them or uh, bring the best out of them. Somehow they have the ability. It's almost like, okay, for an example, Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan. He's considered the GOAT, and not in my eyes, but he's considered the GOAT, right? Scottie Pippen is pretty much an average player. But being around Jordan, whatever that was inside of Jordan, push whatever abilities, whatever talents, whatever IQ, and whatever that Scottie Pippen had, it pushed it to greatness. So, in other words, what Michael Jordan had in him maximized what was in Scottie Pippen. So that's what I look for in anchor. Michael Jordan is considered an anchor, and it maximizes the player next to them. Now, nobody knew Scottie Pippen was going to be Scottie Pippen. If so, Supersonics wouldn't have traded him to the Chicago Bulls. So, same thing goes, anyway. So, I say the same thing about Trey Flowers. What's in him is greatness, but what's in what was Danny Shelton? What's in Trey Flowers is gonna get the best out of Trey Flowers. I mean, get the best out of Danny Shelton, and Danny Shelton's gonna get the best out of Trey Flowers. Let's say it that way. Trey Flowers is your anchor, but is going to be a complementary to both. Where they're gonna get the best maximizing out of both. If the statistics on Trey Flowers last year was, I don't know how many pressures he or quarterback hits that he had last year. But of course, if you want to talk about the sack number, you can say he had like what, six, close to his average sack total. But if you look at him, like his game tape is. I'm not talking about footwork and everything else. I'm just talking about how he positioned himself with technique, and where how he has his ability to basically maneuver to get where he want to be. And I guess you could say that's footwork and all that, and but I could say that's effort. But I'm going to talk on the subject of technique. So, what they did with Trey Flower, as if he's going to be your anchor, you got to get him somebody who complements him, and that's Danny Shelton. Scottie Pippen complimented Michael Jordan, but Scottie Pippen wasn't Scottie Pippen until what was in Jordan pushed or maximized what was in Scottie Pippen. Right? So that's how it works together. That's why they're considered a great duel. So that's why I look at Danny Shelton and Trey Flowers. So somebody would say, like, they need another edge rusher. I don't think so. I think what they have, they're going to maximize. Now, people looking for a person who has a career in proven proven statistics, maybe a high sack number or higher numbers and pressures. So look at it this way: when they not drafted, when they signed Trey Flowers, they was like, why? The average fan was like, why? His numbers is whatever, particularly at the price tag that he's coming with. But he in other words, he check off all the boxes on the stat sheet for your edge or for your alignment, your defensive alignment. He check off all the boxes, and that's what Quinn is looking for. He's looking for guys who checks up off the boxes, not a guy who checks out maybe 3 out of 5. He's looking at a guy who could get possibly, if he can, 5 out of 5 boxes. So even if he's not raw talent and speed, if he's not raw talent in far as like in power, if he checks off all 5 boxes, he can do something with that. That's just how Bill Belichick was, and Bill Belichick, of course, learned up under Bill Parcells. If you could check off all the 5 boxes, and every now and again you get a player that is strictly just raw talent, where you get a guy who's just an animal, like a Lawrence Taylor, just an animal, just a freak. Every now and again you get that. We had that in Calvin Johnson, and we had that in Barry Sanders, but we really didn't have. I keep saying we as I'm like I'm part of it, but